Hello, I'm Richard and welcome back to my channel over and over and over again, which features everything to do with Arsenal. In this video, I just really want to look at Mikel Arteta'S press conference today ahead of the game on Monday against Liverpool. Just go over what was said and just to quickly analyse it all. First of all, it was asked whether having no fans in the ground was going to be a help, of course, because the atmosphere at Anfield. Basically, what Arteta said was that the crowd obviously makes them stronger because it's a unique atmosphere that they're able to create. And as well, he said it's how well they've been playing as well without crowds. As always, he knows what the challenge is ahead, and he just wants to embrace it, go there, preparing well, and try to win. So he's trying to dismiss that, really. His point being that they've been playing well anyway without any crowds in. So I personally do feel that they've not been playing quite as well at Anfield since the crowds wasn't there. But I don't suppose he was going to say that, was he? He was then asked about how much confidence he can take from the last two performances against Liverpool, of course, when we've beaten them twice. He said they were both very different games, the one at the Emirates and obviously the one at Wembley. And he says he thinks it'll be different again. He says we know that the standards they've set and how consistent they've been, and because they dominate most aspects of the game. So what he said was that we need to be at our best to really compete against them. And he said, and hopefully the boys are able to do that on Monday. So I think he's expecting a different game. I agree with him. I do think the last two games against Liverpool were different, were they? The one at the Emirates, they scored first, dominated possession. We sat back and caught them on the break. Whereas I thought at Wembley, we certainly took the game more to them, didn't we? Particularly in the first half. So we'll see what happens. I think it'll be more like the game at the Emirates, if I'm honest. But he's right, isn't he? We just need to really compete, don't we, if we're going to get a result against them. He was asked how different he thinks the game will be. He said there's some variability depending on what they do and how they like to control different aspects of the game and how we can attack in different ways as well. He said it's like quick waves all the time with them. You don't have much time to breathe, and it's a really quick game. He doesn't see long sequences of passing against them. And yeah, that's exactly right, isn't it? We're never going to have a lot of possession, are we, against Liverpool? It's just a matter of being organised, isn't it? And working hard and keeping our shape. And I think that's obvious. And he was obviously just touching on that with that there. He was asked about how he's been working on the team since the West Ham game. He said he's obviously not going to discuss that, but he said they've had some time to work and prepare better. But he said every game brings different challenges, and every opponent, you have different issues to resolve. He did say that the team is still evolving and getting better. And he said on Wednesday, we did a lot of things better, but he said we do need to keep on improving. He was then asked about Lucas Torreira, who of course has been linked with a move away from the club. And he says, no, we don't have any updates on Lucas Torreira or any other player at the moment. So make of that what you will. It's a typical response to Arteta, isn't it, when it comes to transfers? He's not going to commit anything either way until he maybe has a confirmation of any deal that's been done. He was then asked about the link with Jorginho at Chelsea. It was quite interesting, his response to that, actually. What he said was, we're still open to improve our team and that we're looking for different options depending on what happens with some of our players here. So we're getting prepared just in case we need to do something. Now, from that, I get the feeling that if the other deals that we're looking at, particularly the Thomas Partey deal, doesn't go ahead or we can't get that one done, then maybe the Jorginho deal might happen as a fallback. Bearing in mind they are looking at a swap deal as well, possibly with Guendouzi. So we need to look at that because I think that may well happen. So I think we need to be prepared for Jorginho perhaps coming from Chelsea. He was then asked about what potential qualities he sees in Jorginho. And again, his typical response is he's not going to discuss players that play for a different team. And he said that the qualities are not appropriate at this moment in time to discuss. He was then asked, obviously, the fact that we play Liverpool twice within a few days, how hard it is playing the same opponent that quickly. He said it's difficult enough to play the same team in 4 days and for the players to adapt. He said the first game does tend to have a big impact on the second one. It's really tough to beat the same opponent twice. Although, of course, as I mentioned in my video earlier today, we have done that with Liverpool, didn't we, back in 2007. He was asked, obviously, about Liverpool. The challenge for Liverpool, he said, is much bigger, and he just wants to focus on Monday. He said, let's try to get the best possible preparation against them and go there. More importantly, to have the belief that we can go there and win. So basically, that's what he's trying to been installing in the team, I think, because they've had previous results there. He's giving them the confidence and the belief that we can win. He was then asked on the importance of starting the game on the front foot. He said, yes, it's really important to start well, but it's also important what happens after 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 80 minutes, 90 minutes, because Liverpool are a team that are really consistent in their performances. They're able to dominate long spells of the game. So he said you have to be able to win the right opportunities at the right moments and be ruthless. He said as well, you have to suffer for periods because you have to expect that they're going to have the experience. So basically, he's expecting the team to be, obviously put under pressure. We're going to have difficult moments. He's just preparing for them and then trying to make the most of the moments that we do get in the game. I think that's what the plan is, which is exactly as you would expect it to be. He was asked about when he thinks fans might be able to return to the stadium. Mikel Arteta says obviously doesn't know. He said obviously with the news and the new guidelines given by the government, it's not looking very positive in the next few months. And we have to bear in mind the situation in our society, of course. We all know what's going on at the moment. And I suppose getting fans in the stadium is the last thing that looks likely to happen at this moment in time. Mikel Arteta says we have to respect that, and we're all trying to create a safe environment as it's in the interest of everybody. First of all, the Premier League to keep playing. So I don't know whether or not actually abandoning the season has been mentioned. He talked about keep playing. That's a little bit of a worry, isn't it, after what happened last season? He said, I think we've achieved really good standards at the moment, and we have to keep the positive tests really, really low. Obviously, there has been a few, hasn't there, in the Premier League in recent days, particularly at West Ham, actually, who we played last week. But luckily, nobody at the Arsenal camp at this moment in time has tested positive. So that's a good thing, isn't it? And he said the first aim, obviously, is we can get fans back into the stadium because it's be great for the football world as well. And of course, we all echo that, don't we? The sooner we can get fans back in the stadium, the better. But it's not looking very likely, is it, over the next few months, unfortunately. He was then asked about whether he thinks Eddie Nketiah could get a call up for England. Obviously, he's been playing well at the moment, and he's been playing well for the under 21s. Mikel Arteta says he doesn't know. He said, obviously, if he keeps performing in the way he has been with us, he'll have a really good chance. And he does feel that the current England manager has been really brave, he said, with young kids. So he does feel as though there's a chance that some of our youngsters might get called up, but he says it's up to them to keep being consistent in what they're doing at club level, and then the opportunity comes in a natural way. He clearly hasn't really seen exactly how few opportunities a young English player get from Arsenal, but we'll see what happens. And I think Eddie and a couple of others, Bukayo Saka as well, probably do deserve a full England call up, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, Maitland-Niles did get one recently, didn't he? He was then asked what he thinks Liverpool's weakness is, which is quite difficult, as you can imagine. What Arteta said was he thinks they're getting better and better and that they have less weaknesses and that they're a fantastic side. Yeah, of course, we know that. The issue with the weakness of opponents is how many you're able to exploit and how many opportunities you get to do that. That's what he was alluding to before. We're probably not going to have a lot of the ball. So when we get the ball, we need to make the most of it, don't we? He said, with all the incredible things that they have, that they're going to try and still be able to do them. So he wants to focus on what we can do and what we have to do and control our own aspects. So he's basically saying he's not going to worry too much about Liverpool. He's going to focus on our game plan, the way that we play, and put together our plan to win the game. He was then asked about the need to be ruthless on Monday, and he said in big games, every detail is really important to get a win. He said we have to dominate a lot of aspects in the game and how we manage the game in certain aspects as well. When we have our opportunities, we have to put them in the net. So I think he's obviously expecting it to be the sort of game like it was at the Emirates, where when the opportunities come along as they did that night, we've got to take them. And then we've got to try to manage the rest of the game as best as we can when Liverpool have possession of the ball, when Liverpool are creating chances. He was then asked whether he had tried to sign Thiago, and he says, we don't discuss things that we try to do in the market. He doesn't like talking about transfers at all, does he? Until we actually get something done. He was then asked whether he's a player that he admires, and of course Arteta said yes. He's always liked him from his time at Barcelona as well. He said he's a player of incredible personality, great talent, and very special qualities to play in midfield. And he said he thinks he's a great signing for Liverpool. I think we all agree with that. But let's hope he doesn't have the greatest game on Monday. And then he was asked about the importance of winning away at a top 6 club, of course, something that we've not done in the Premier League for over 5 years now, nearly 6 years actually. He said that we want consistent results. We have to be able to go to any ground and get the points and live with that belief. We'll try to do that on Monday. So again, it comes down to this mentality, isn't it? You know, maybe previously we haven't had the belief that we can go to places like Anfield and the Etihad and get results. So this is a big test, isn't it? And I think Arteta is going to be spending, or he has been spending, I think, a lot of the time over the last week building up that belief that we are good enough. You know, we have beaten them recently, and I think that's what we're going to have to try to do again. He was then asked about Nicolas Pepe. He said he thinks he's come a long way. He said we know how much the club paid for him when he joined, and that's added extra pressure. But he said he's had to adapt to that and to a different style. He says he's got a really good attitude. He says he can see he develops in a lot of phases of the game. He's very settled here. He's liked by all the other players, and he's a really good character to have around. And he says he's really positive that we're going to have him for many years and that he can perform at a really high level consistently. So I think from that, what we're guessing is that Arteta knows there's a lot more to come from Nicolas Pepe. I think we all know that as well, don't we? My personal feeling is that he flicks in and out of games too much. He shows glimpses of real quality, but he then drifts out of the game for too long. So if Arteta can do similar work with Pepe as he's done with Raheem Sterling at Manchester City, then I think that could be a real positive. So he certainly speaks highly of him there, which is good to hear. And he says on whether or not, obviously, having Nicolas Pepe around has helped Gabriel. Of course, they did play together, didn't they, coming from Lyon. He said it's always nice to have some compatriots with them. He said obviously it makes things a lot easier when they struggle to speak the language. He said they both know each other and they've spent some time together now, and he says he thinks that's a positive thing. Well, of course it is. The more people that you know when you move to a new club or a new job in general, isn't it? If you know people there, it does make it easier and quicker to settle, doesn't it? He was then asked about how key the big game experience of Willian might prove to be. Typical Arteta response, he said, for me, it's much more important about the overall mindset of the team, that's right, and that they have the actual belief that they can go to Liverpool and go there to win. He says if we all have that, we're going to have a much better chance to perform at the highest level and have the opportunity to grab the points. So again, Arteta is all about the team, the collective, as opposed to the individual. But I mean, personally, I think we know, don't we, that Willian's experience is going to be crucial, and his quality as well. At the end of the day, he can add that little bit of extra quality in the final third that's going to give us a little bit more opportunities to maybe get the goals to win that game. He said he was then asked whether the team believe in themselves more now than when he arrived. He said that he hasn't been to Anfield with them yet, but I'm expecting that every ground we go to, we're going to prepare for the game to win, and that they realise that they're good enough to do that. Again, it comes down to that belief, doesn't it? He says, obviously, it'll have to be an incredible performance individually and collectively. We need to manage every detail the game requires. So it's really this plan he's put in place. I'm quite excited actually to see how that works out. He was then asked about the understanding and relationship between Aubameyang and Lacazette. Of course, we know they get on fantastically well. Basically, Arteta said he thinks that the front players need to create a certain chemistry between them, and that they understand each other and communicate well on the pitch. And he said that's exactly what they're getting at from them at the moment. He said not only with them, but also with Willian, the way he's come into the team, with Nicolas Pepe, with Bukayo Saka. He said, and with Reece as well. He said it's really important, and it's something that he's trying to promote in training, so that they can keep linking up well and improving the relationships between all the players, which is great to hear. And they do seem to be a lot more connected, don't they? Also, as well, he said, how concerned is he with the lack of? He was asked, how concerned is he with the lack of finances further down the football pyramid? And Arteta's response to that was, he says he thinks obviously playing without fans and the financial implications. How can that be sustainable? You know, the things that we have to achieve as a team to try to improve those finances as well. So he's hoping that the more success that the team has on the pitch, it's going to help the financial problems that we've got and everybody's got. And he says he thinks it's crucial for every club that this doesn't have too much of a delay getting the fans back in the stadium. That will be because the challenge ahead is brutal. And of course, he's exactly right, isn't he? The Premier League clubs have been suffering, but further down the pyramid, it's a lot more serious, and there's a lot more issues that need to be sorted out, really, for a lot of them clubs who aren't going to survive, unfortunately, unless they can get fans back in their stadiums quickly. And it is a big issue. So, but that was the press conference there ahead of the Liverpool game. We're starting to get to know Arteta's personality now. He doesn't really like talking about individual players too much. It's all about the team and the collective. He certainly doesn't want to go into transfer. It's almost getting to the point where it's pointless asking him about them, isn't it? When deals happen, they'll happen, and I'm sure we'll get to find out about them, and that'll be great. And until then, we'll just have to live with the speculation, unfortunately, won't we? Which is something that we all have to live with, don't we? Being an Arsenal fan, it's just one of those things, isn't it? The speculation goes on. So, but that's that press conference there. A little bit of reaction to that. He always speaks well, doesn't he? You've got to love Arteta, really, haven't you? It's difficult not to. He's just a great guy, isn't he? So that's that there. If you like this channel, it is called the Positive Arsenal channel, as you know now. I'm trying to keep things positive. I've got some great stuff coming up actually ahead of the Liverpool game. I've already done a preview video which is on the channel, so please check that out if you haven't watched it already. And please subscribe as well. Please give this video the thumbs up as well if you like it, because it's really important to help the channel grow. I can see I've had a couple of thumbs ups already, which is great, so appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I say, if you do like my channel, please get involved, because I'm trying to keep things positive. There's a lot of good stuff to be positive about at the moment, isn't there? So join me on this journey as we go further into the season. I think Monday's going to be a big test to see exactly how positive we can be. But regardless of that, there's still lots to be positive about, isn't there? Mikel Arteta, of course, being one of the main reasons. He's a fantastic coach. He clearly loves the club. He's done a great job, and he deserves all of our support, doesn't he? Unfortunately, at the moment, we can't give that support in the stadium, can we? Just had a comment here from Anything Arsenal. Liverpool, he says he thinks Liverpool are there for the taking, conceding goals, which is unlike them last season. Exactly right. They have conceded more goals already than you'd have expected them to. They do look a little bit vulnerable defensively, actually. Be interesting to see what difference Thiago makes, just sitting in front of the defence, which is probably what his role is going to be. But I agree. I do think they are there for the taking this time. I've never been more confident before a game away at Anfield for a long time. I've got to be honest. I do feel as though we can get a result. I said in my video earlier, I've predicted a 2-1 victory, and I'm going to stick with that, because I do think we can win. I do think Liverpool are conceding goals. As long as we defend properly, then we've got a good chance. But it is about what Arteta says. Go back to that. It's about belief. I think if we go there with the belief that we can win, there's no reason why we shouldn't do, because we've beaten them very recently. Then I feel as though we've got a great chance to pull off what would be considered a shock result, wouldn't it? They haven't actually lost at Anfield in the league for, I think, 3 years. Crystal Palace were the last team to win there, which I think was in 2017. So it's been over 3 years, a long time ago since they lost at Anfield. So it'd be great, wouldn't it, for us to end that record? Wouldn't that be fantastic? And as well, I say that would send a message out to the rest of the Premier League that we're a serious team this year. And also it would send a message out, as Anything Arsenal has said there, that maybe Liverpool aren't quite going to be as dominant this season as they were last year. And that's great for the league, isn't it? If the title race can be a lot closer this year, have a lot more teams involved, it's going to make it a more interesting season, isn't it, for everybody? So this is the job that we've got to do on Monday, is not only go there to beat Liverpool for ourselves, but also to open the title race up a bit more, I think, as well. But positive stuff from Arteta, as always. Fantastic. I love listening to his press conferences. He always makes me feel, I listen to his press conferences and I come away feeling convinced that we're going to win every game that we play, and listen to him. So if the players feel like that as well, then that's half the job done, isn't it? So that's how I feel about that. I'm sure you all feel like that as well. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I say please subscribe to my channel. Please give it a thumbs up, and look out for some stuff over the weekend, and obviously on match day as well. I'm going to still try and get a live show in if I can before Monday, but it is probably now going to be during the week between the two Liverpool games. So many things to discuss. It'll be a good show, actually, but I just need to get that arranged with a few of my guests and stuff like that. So that's that for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support of the channel. Stay tuned for more stuff coming up as we go into the season as well. And of course, in the meantime, as always, ahead of a massive game on Monday, come on, you Gunners! Come on. Let's win at Anfield.